You elevate your own standards, the world automatically starts paying attention to you. The most attractive thing about a man or a woman is not looks or loud behavior, it's self-certainty. When you carry yourself like someone who knows their value, who has direction, and who doesn't chase validation, people feel that energy without you saying a single word. Whether you're trying to impress someone like Jessica Opare or just want to create deep attraction in real life, it all begins with inner confidence. Accept your flaws, refine your strengths, and work silently on your growth. That alone makes you unforgettable. Respect is another magnetic quality. Listen when someone speaks, value their emotions, and hold conversations that make the other person feel seen, not just heard. Add to that a clean personal style, fresh grooming, and a confident tone of voice, and you instantly separate yourself from the crowd. Passion is also powerful. Talk about your goals, your projects, or purpose. Passion creates curiosity, and curiosity creates desire. Humor, when natural, makes people open up to you, but trying too hard has the opposite effect. Know your boundaries and stand by them. People admire those who don't bend out of desperation. Most importantly, conduct every interaction with dignity and mutual respect. Real attraction is not built through pressure or noise. It grows naturally when trust and interest are given space. When you become strong from within, purposeful in your actions, and graceful in your conversations, you create a pull that cannot be denied. You don't have to beg for attention. Your presence itself becomes the reason someone keeps coming back. That's the real secret people keep searching for. You know what most people get wrong about attraction, confidence, and influence? They think it starts with someone else noticing them. They think the magic begins when a woman looks at them twice, or when a man pays attention to their presence. The truth is brutally simple and incredibly powerful. Everything, respect, desire, admiration, loyalty, starts with how you show up to yourself before you ever show up to anyone else. When you walk into a room carrying the energy of someone who knows their value, you don't have to convince anybody of anything. You don't have to act loud, you don't have to prove your worth, and you don't have to chase reactions. You exist with quiet certainty, and that is louder than any performance. People feel it before they understand it. They sense composure, they sense groundedness, they sense someone who isn't looking around for approval. That is the kind of presence that makes somebody turn their head without you forcing it. You want to know what makes someone obsessed with you? It's not pretending to be emotionless. It's not acting toxic, distant, or manipulative. It's living in such alignment with your standards and your growth that being around you becomes an experience. Most people are drainy. Most are inconsistent, insecure, and easily shaken. But when you build yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually, you become rare. And what's rare becomes valuable. And what's valuable becomes desired. Bertha, you don't chase. You move with purpose. You don't beg for texts. You focus on progress. You don't argue to be understood. You speak with clarity and let your actions verify your words. And the moment you stop performing for attention, something incredible happens. People start competing for your attention without even realizing it. Whether it's someone like Jessica Opare or any woman with dignity and standards, attraction isn't rooted in what you say to her. It's rooted in who you are when she's not around. Women are not drawn to noise. They're drawn to stability, presence, mystery, respect, and quiet dominance. That doesn't mean trying to be a bad boy caricature. It means being a man or a woman who operates from self-control rather than insecurity. Keeper sets it. People feel it when you've done the inner work. They sense it in your tone, your eyes, your posture, the rhythm of your speech, your silence, your movement. When you've built discipline, the way you speak slows down. You stop reacting. You start observing. You don't need to impress, so you don't force your personality. You let others come toward your calm instead of chasing their chaos. Here's the reality. Attraction is not something you manufacture in the moment. It's a byproduct of who you have already become over months and years of internal upgrades. The gym sessions you didn't skip, the conversations you avoided because they lowered you, the goals you stuck to when no one was watching, The spiritual awareness you cultivated in silence. The boundaries you enforced even when it cost you comfort. Every sacrifice builds the framework of your presence, and presence is what pulls people in without effort. Now listen closely. People respect what's difficult to access. Not rude, not arrogant, not dismissive, just self-contained. If you are always available, always waiting, always proving, always adjusting your energy to keep someone's interest, you dissolve your value without even realizing it. But when you live by your standards and hold your ground with grace, not ego, something changes in the way others engage with you. They start asking more questions. Their attention lingers longer. They remember your silence longer than someone else's noise. Confidence is not speaking the loudest in the room. It's knowing you could speak but choosing not to unless it matters. It's knowing you could argue but deciding you'd rather walk away with your peace intact. It's being fully comfortable with someone liking you or not liking you because your worth was never tied to them in the first place. And that's when desire becomes obsession. When someone realizes your attention is not cheap, your presence is not guaranteed, and your energy is not scattered. Your life has direction. You don't revolve around them. You don't orbit their validation. You move like someone who is already chosen by purpose, by progress, by inner conviction. And human psychology is simple. People chase what feels anchored, not what feels desperate. See, the world is full of people trying to be seen. They shout, they flex, they post, they pretend, they gossip. But the ones who pull the most attention rarely have to announce anything. They let their aura do the introduction. They walk in with posture, not just physical, but spiritual. Shoulders relaxed, breathing grounded, eyes steady, hands calm. Their energy is not frantic. Their words don't stumble over each other. They're not waiting for a reaction. They are fully centered in themselves. If you want someone to think about you long after you leave the room, don't try to be unforgettable in the moment. Just be fully present, confident in who you are, and unbothered by whether or not they approve. That quiet certainty lingers in their memory. And this isn't about playing someone. It's not manipulation. It's not pretending. It's not using tactics to get a short-term reaction. This is about becoming so aligned with your identity and your path that being around you triggers inspiration, curiosity, attraction, and respect at the same time. Your vibe becomes a mirror. People start to see their own lack of discipline, their own inconsistency, their own potential. And that mix of admiration and self-awareness is intensely magnetic. Attraction built on ego fades. Attraction built on aesthetics fades. Attraction built on games collapses. But attraction built on inner gravity, on discipline, peace, wisdom, presence, purpose, that becomes a force. That's the kind of energy that makes someone rethink their standards, realign their behavior, and invest their attention into you without being asked. Now here's the catch. None of this works if you are secretly desperate. You can't fake calm. You can't hide insecurity with fashion or followers. You can't mask fear with loudness. Your inner frequency always bleeds through. That's why the work has to be real. You have to rebuild the foundation. Your confidence, your body, your finances, your mindset, your resilience, your emotional control, your communication, your standards. Every layer adds weight to your presence. And once your presence has weight, you don't need to chase. You don't need to compete. You don't need to convince. You simply exist at a frequency that demands respect and invites curiosity. People think attraction starts in conversation, but long before words are exchanged, energy has already spoken. Someone feels your presence before they hear your voice. They notice your stillness before your personality. They register your confidence before your charm. And that's why the work has to be internal, not theatrical. When your spirit is steady and your mind is anchored, you create a field around you that makes others adjust themselves without you asking. Eber said the problem is most people are uncomfortable in their own skin. They can't sit in silence without reaching for distraction. They can't walk alone without feeling insecure. They can't go a day without validation. And when someone operates from that emptiness, they force everything: conversations, relationships, outcomes. Forced energy repels, grounded energy attracts. People don't chase those who are chasing. They chase those who are chosen. People don't desire what is always available. They desire what is aligned, intentional, and selective. Understand something. Your value is not proven by how much attention you get. Your value is revealed by how little attention you need. When you don't need to be wanted, you become wanted. When you don't beg to be claimed, you become pursued. When you stop performing for eyes, you become the one worth watching. There's a shift that happens when you stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Do I even want access to them?" That reversal of energy is PO. Where? That reversal of energy is the beginning of real attraction. Look at any figure who naturally draws attention. They have three things in common: intention, discipline, and peace. They are not scrambled. They are not seeking identity in others. They are not emotionally scattered. They move deliberately. They dress with intention. They speak with clarity. They listen with interest. They hold posture. They don't overshare. They don't over-explain. They create comfort without trying, and they maintain boundaries without conflict. And here's something a lot of people refuse to accept. Attraction is not just about chemistry. It's about curiosity. If someone can predict everything you're going to do, say, or feel, the mystery evaporates. When there is no mystery, the mind stops wandering. When the mind stops wandering, the heart stops chasing. But when someone senses depth in you, layers they haven't fully seen, standards they can't cross, intentions they don't fully understand, that curiosity turns into pull, a burr. It's not about hiding who you are. It's about not exhausting yourself to prove it. When you don't rush to be understood, people listen differently. When you don't try to impress, people start studying you. When you move with calm self-belief, people question themselves around you in a good way. They start thinking, what is it about this person that feels different? And that's the kind of fascination that creates long-term desire. C. Now let's talk about presence, real presence. Not just physical presence, not just appearance, but energetic presence. When you walk into a space with steady breathing, eye contact that is calm but firm, a relaxed facial expression, and a posture that says, "I belong here," people will feel you before they see you. They won't know why, but they'll find themselves glancing at you again. They'll speak differently when you're around. They'll become aware of how they sound in front of you. That kind of influence isn't loud, it's call. Exit. Bury. But you don't gain that by accident. That comes from choosing self-respect over short-term fun. It comes from walking away from gossip, not needing to clap back, not entertaining chaos, not tolerating disrespect. It comes from healing your insecurities, not masking them. It comes from developing skills, thinking independently, reading, learning, working on your body, managing your finances, and protecting your mind. When your lifestyle reflects your standards, your aura reflects your worth. And yes, people feel that. Someone can look at you for 10 seconds and register whether you are desperate, anxious, and overcompensating, or grounded, collected, and fulfilled. Your eyes reveal whether you're starving for attention or selective with your focus. Your tone reveals whether you're trying to be accepted or simply expressing truth. Your silence reveals whether you're empty or reserved. Ibru. The goal is not to convince someone to stay. The goal is to become someone whose presence is so valuable, walking away becomes their loss. You don't create obsession by forcing interest. You create it by being the kind of person who is not easily replaced, the kind of person who brings peace, direction, depth, and challenge without begging for admiration. When someone meets a person who is truly aligned, someone whose life has structure, whose words carry weight, whose discipline shows, whose confidence is not arrogance but assurance, they feel something they don't often feel, admiration mixed with desire. That combination is powerful. Admiration alone is respect. Desire alone is temporary. But when someone admires you and desires you, that's when you become unforgettable. And let me make this very clear. Real attraction is not about manipulation. It's not about games. It's not about pretending to not care. It's not about strategies that make you look unavailable while you're secretly desperate inside. That kind of performance always cracks under pressure. Real attraction comes from alignment, not acting, from substance, not style, from confidence, not control. And this is exactly why presence beats appearance. Because no matter how attractive someone looks, if their energy is needy, inconsistent, clingy, jealous, loud, or insecure, the attraction drains instantly. But when someone's presence carries silence, poise, authority, and warmth, people feel safe, impressed, fascinated, and drawn in. They want access without knowing why. Someone like Jessica Opare or any woman with dignity and depth doesn't respond to noise. She responds to aura. She responds to certainty. She responds to composure. And when your lifestyle reflects those things, your presence speaks louder than any pickup line, hairstyle, or outfit. Now, here's where most people sabotage themselves. They think attraction is built in front of the person they want. No, attraction is built in the solitude they don't see. It's built in the silence of your self-respect. It's built in the hours you invest in personal progress. It's built in the discipline you practice when no one is watching. By the time you meet someone, most of the work is already done or undone. They're just reading the results. You become magnetic by accident only when you've been intentional on purpose. There's a quiet kind of power in people who don't announce everything they're doing. When you're working on yourself internally, you don't need to broadcast it. When you're healing, evolving, learning, and improving, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Growth is not a performance, it's a transformation. And when transformation starts showing in your voice, your walk, your posture, your boundaries, your silence, the world starts reacting differently to you without you asking it to. That's why people who hold themselves with calm discipline create stronger attraction than those who try to showcase confidence. Showcasing confidence is external. Holding peace is internal. One is loud, the other is unshakable. And human nature is designed to trust and desire what feels unshaken. You know what really shifts the dynamic between you and any person you're interested in, whether a public figure or someone from your daily life? It's the realization that you don't revolve around them. Your world doesn't shrink when they enter. You're not waiting to be chosen. You're evaluating. You're not begging for time. You're managing your own. That reversal changes how people perceive you instantly. And make no mistake, observation is real. People watch how you respond, how long you can sit still, how quickly you need validation, how often you react to things that don't deserve your energy, when you don't jump to prove yourself, when you don't fight to be right, when you don't overexpose your intentions. Your mystery stays intact. And mystery is not secrecy. It's depth that isn't spilled carelessly. Most people talk too much because silence exposes their insecurity. They want to feel relevant, so they over-explain, overshare, and overcompensate. But what truly captivates someone is a person who doesn't feel pressured to fill the air. Someone who listens with intention, speaks with precision, and chooses words with weight. That makes people lean in instead of tune out. You don't need to dominate a space with volume to own it. You own it by not needing to perform. Think about the difference between someone who's desperate to be liked and someone who knows they'll be respected regardless. The energy is completely different. And that difference is what determines whether someone forgets you or keeps thinking about you for days. The people who stay on someone's mind are not the ones who scream the loudest. They're the ones whose presence felt grounded. They're the ones who had composure. They're the ones who didn't chase validation. When someone feels calm around you, they remember you. When someone feels challenged by your standards, they respect you. When someone feels curious about your silence, they seek you. That combination is what creates devotion, not just attraction. Now let's talk about self-control. Because self-control is the root of self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of presence. When you can regulate your emotions, you stop reacting to every trigger. When you can manage desire, you don't chase attention. When you can handle solitude, you don't cling to people. When you can forgive yourself, you don't beg others to validate you. That level of control creates serenity. And serenity is magnetic. If a person senses that your happiness depends on them, they pull away instinctively. But if they sense your happiness existed long before they arrived, they start investing effort without noticing it. The less someone feels pressured by your expectations, the more willingly they give you what most people beg for: attention, time, interest, and intimacy. True confidence is not, "I hope they like me." It's I'm okay whether they do or not. And that D doesn't mean arrogance. It means you're not negotiating your worth in every interaction. You don't need to push for certainty. You allow things to flow because you're already certain of yourself. Attraction deepens when someone realizes they can't disrupt your balance, when they see that you're not shaken by slow replies, silence, or differences, when they notice you don't chase, you don't complain, you don't panic, you don't beg. Your reactions, or lack of them, communicate everything. And that communication is internal, not forced. This is exactly why being unavailable is not the secret. Being fulfilled is. People pretend to be unavailable to gain interest, but if the fulfillment isn't real, they collapse the moment someone gives them attention. You must build a reality where your purpose, your growth, your health, your peace, your financial journey, your passion projects, all of it, exists with or without anyone's participation. That's when your availability becomes valuable, not convenient. And here's another powerful truth. You should not be chasing chemistry, you should be building gravity. Chemistry is surface level. It's based on dopamine, timing, looks, and mood. But gravity is deeper. It's based on values, direction, and energy. Chemistry gets attention. Gravity gets commitment. Chemistry fades when the excitement fades. Gravity pulls someone back into your orbit even after they leave the room. Think of every person you've ever been drawn to without knowing why. It wasn't just their face or their words. It was their presence, their pace, their confidence, their mystery, their silence. They carried themselves like someone who could walk into any room and not be swallowed by it. That's presence. That's gravity. And anyone can develop it through alignment and discipline. And alignment is simple. Your habits match your standards. Your actions match your words. Your desires match your decisions. You don't ask for loyalty while entertaining chaos. You don't demand respect while disrespecting yourself. You don't seek love while abandoning your self-worth. When your life reflects your standards, your presence reflects your value. And people with value don't compete. They don't chase. They don't try to replace or force anything. They allow what comes and release what goes. They don't fear losing people because they never lost themselves in the first place. And that's the kind of energy that doesn't just attract, it imprints. There's something unforgettable about a person who doesn't abandon themselves in the process of trying to be chosen by someone else. When your identity stays intact, no matter who enters or exits your life, you communicate one powerful message without speaking a word. I am whole, with or without you. And that kind of wholeness is rare. People don't just notice it, they feel it. Think about how most people operate. They adjust their behavior, depending on who's watching. They switch personalities based on who you're trying to impress. They lower their standards out of fear that someone might leave if boundaries are enforced. But when someone stands on their standards without aggression, without desperation, and without apology, it sends a quiet shock through anyone observing. Because conviction is rare, and conviction is magnetic. You want to know why certain people stay on someone's mind long after the conversation ends? It's because they didn't try to be liked. They stood in their truth comfortably. They didn't rush. They didn't overshare. They didn't shrink or overcompensate. They gave just enough of their essence to be remembered, but not enough to be figured out. The mind chases what it can't fully map. The heart recalls what it can't fully read. Attraction is strongest when someone feels both safety and uncertainty around you. Not uncertainty about your intentions, but uncertainty about your depths. When someone knows you're respectful, grounded, confident, and clear, but they also sense. There are layers they haven't explored yet. They don't walk away satisfied. They walk away curious. And curiosity is what keeps their attention hooked. Now let's talk about standards, because standards are not rules you announce. They're the energy you enforce without speaking. The way you carry yourself tells people how to treat you. The way you respond tells them what you tolerate. The way you walk away tells them what you will never negotiate. And the moment someone realizes you will not abandon your values for access to their presence, their respect for you multiplies. It's not about being intimidating. It's about being clear. When you hold your standard gently but firmly, without trying to convince or condemn, people feel your self-worth, not your ego. and they adjust accordingly, whether they are conscious of it or not. Here's the truth most people never confront. When you chase something, your energy communicates that you believe it's above you. When you stay centered, you communicate that nothing is above you and nothing is beneath you. Everything is simply a choice. That neutrality is attractive because it shows that you're not enslaved by emotion, validation, or approval. And let's be honest, energy doesn't lie. You can dress sharp, speak smoothly, and act confident all you want, but if inside you're panicking for attention, people feel it in your micro-reactions. They feel it in how fast you text back, in how long you wait for a reply, in how quickly you change your tone to avoid conflict, in how your mood shifts when someone pulls away. These tiny signals tell people everything they need to know about your inner strength, or lack of it. On the flip side, when you genuinely don't panic, when the conversation slows, when the replies take time, when someone tests your boundaries, and you remain grounded, people feel a different kind of power radiate from you. Not anger, not withdrawal, just certainty. You respond when needed. You pull back when dead. You don't chase clarity. You let other people reveal themselves. That's when you stop being an option and start becoming a presence. Someone can ignore a message, but they can't ignore an energy that stays in their mind. Someone can avoid conversation, but they can't avoid the contrast between your composure and the instability they're used to. They may not admit it, but they will compare you to everyone else they meet. And that silent comparison is where your influence grows. Now let's go deeper. Because obsession doesn't come from loud desire, it comes from subtle emotional disruption. When someone meets you and realizes, they can't predict you. They can't control your focus. They can't shake your peace. They can't rush your responses. They can't buy your attention with flattery. They can't make you insecure with silence. They can't move you off your path. Their brain marks you as different. And the human mind revisits what's different, not what's available. That's why you don't need to impress. You need to be aligned. You don't need to manipulate. You need to be composed. You don't need to chase. You need to remain intentional. Presence is not about being seen. It's about being remembered. You ever notice how some people barely speak but change the entire room just by being in it? Their voice isn't the first thing people pay attention to. It's their aura. There's a gravity around them that makes people straighten up, slow down, act sharper. That's not personality. That's discipline, healing, self-awareness, and self-control embodying themselves. You don't get presence by demanding respect. You get it by mastering yourself. Your tone slows, your spine aligns, your breathing regulates, your eye contact settles, your reactions disappear. And your silence begins to speak before your words do. That's the kind of energy people crave, because it gives them something they can't generate in themselves, equilibrium. And let's be clear, not everyone will appreciate your power immediately. Some will feel challenged by it. Some will project their insecurities onto you. Some will call you cold, detached, or arrogant simply because you're no longer emotionally accessible. But the ones who are truly confident, the ones who value substance, the ones who have depth, they won't be intimidated. They'll be intrigued. A person with true feminine strength or masculine composure is naturally drawn to someone whose energy is structured, not scattered. Someone whose silence feels intentional, not awkward. Someone whose eye contact feels steady, not searching for approval. Someone whose pace is unhurried, not pressured. That's why attraction rooted in presence doesn't fade when you stop speaking. It actually grows. The more you stay grounded, the more someone has room to think about you, because you're not flooding them with constant availability. You're not drowning them in noise. You're not chasing for updates. Your presence gives their mind room to feel your absence. And that gap is what creates longing.